What fucker said that?
I called him a ponce. And now I'm calling you one. Ponce!
I have a heart condition. If you hit me, it's murder.
I'll murder the Perius!
Hello and welcome to Matt's B-Movie Reviews, a show that looks at cult films that may have escaped your radar. And this week I'm looking at one of my favourite ever cult movies, 1987's Withnail and I, which I quite handily have the DVD for. Here's the plot. It's 1969 and two struggling actors who are boozed up and drugged up to the eyeballs are finding life is just not turning out the way they expected.
I'm gonna be a star!
Too much of a good thing too often has turned out quite bad for the pair, and they're suffering from severe paranoia and finally decide to get the hell out of London and take a holiday in the country. How nice. But can their frazzled brains stand the locals, living on a farm, having to make a chicken die, and on top of that deal with a rampaging homosexual who wants to have his wicked way? So will the boys make it back to London refreshed, or will they simply slink back worse off than when they set off before? Now, like I say, this movie is one of my favourite cult films of all time. It's not for everyone, directed by Bruce Robinson, who then went on years later to make The Rum Diaries, which was a bit of a flop for Johnny Depp, but it was a faithful adaptation of Hunter S. Thompson novel, and I really enjoyed it actually. And just like Hunter S. Thompson's other work, like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, this film is very much in touch with its unusual banter and plot points. Starring Richard E. Grant, who is on top form as a drugged up, boozed out Withnail, or Withnail, whatever. Montague Withnail, to be correct. And Paul McGann and his long-suffering writer-actor friend, I. That's literally what he's called in the film, I.
Just bring out the pipes. Cake and fine wine.
If you don't leave, we'll call the police.
Balls. We want the finest wines available to humanity. We want them here, and we want them now.
The film is an absolute British gem. It has Tarantino-esque dialogue, and like previously mentioned, Hunter S. Thompson's zany style and flourishes of drug trips mixed in with everyday life. Just love how random the movie gets. These characters, you're just so invested in them and everything they do. This is a movie that you need to watch carefully. Like any good comedy, when they drop lines in early on and then it's played upon later in the scene. For instance, in the opening, Paul McGann's character leaves the flat because he's completely paranoid. Before he does, I think he puts the kettle on and for some reason goes to a cafe, can't stomach it in the cafe, comes back, and then there's a scene where Richard E. Grant goes to move the kettle and screams that the kettle's on fire or something like that. Just comedy genius, but you need to watch it. It also stars the late great Richard Griffiths, who shot to fame in series like Pie in the Sky, and I think he was also Harry Potter's uncle. Not in real life, because Harry Potter's not real. You know, I was once called Harry Potter by an angry Polishman at a biscuit factory that I worked at called Walker's. I'd knocked into the guy by mistake and apologised, and he just shouted something at me in Polish, ending with Harry Potter. So I assume it was some sort of slur in my character. I started to walk off, came back and just went, Wingardium Leviosa! Which made my mates crack up quite a bit who were working on the line. True story. Now, I've had this film on DVD for quite a few years now. In fact, I think I need to get the Blu-ray or some sort of 2-disc edition because there's a ton of extras missing off this disc. In fact, there's no extras whatsoever, so what am I talking about? Apparently on one of the discs, there's even a drinking game that students used to play. Every time that they took a drink in the film, the students would take a drink. So you'd pretty much be bladdered by about 30 minutes into the film, if that. I mean, just Richard E. Grant's character alone honestly drown your liver within 5 minutes. And it's such a good movie, I don't even want to talk about it that much. Just check this clip out.
Look at that. Look at that. Accident black spot. These aren't accidents. They're throwing themselves into the road gladly. Scholars!
Adios, Brandon!
Little tarts, they love it.
Absolute quality. I love this film. I tried to show it to my Uncle Paul. Apparently he tried to watch it like 2 or 3 times, but he just couldn't get into it, which is a shame because honestly I love this film. And I'm gutted because they brought it back to Cineworld a few years back and I missed my chance to see it on the big screen because I was working. Damn you, work. So why should you see this movie? Because it's got great acting, great characters, fantastic soundtrack. I think there's some Jimi Hendrix mixed in there for the old drug culture. Richard E. Grant is on top form.
Chin chin.
Chin chin.
Plus, Paul McGann, I mean, my God, that guy is a brilliant theatre actor, and it just comes across on the screen. He can really just project everything he's doing. I mean, look at this scene where his thumbs go weird.
My thumbs have gone weird. I'm in the middle of a bloody overdose. Oh, God. My heart's beating like a fuck clock.
I'd actually really like it if they brought Paul McGann back as the Doctor, because he was absolutely fantastic when he reprised the role, I think a couple of years ago when they did the Day of the Doctor special. He was in the short Night of the Doctor.
You have a little under 4 minutes.
4 minutes? That's ages. What if I get bored? I need a television, couple of books, anyone but chess. Bring me knitting. Get out! Get out!
There's another brilliant character in the movie who just plays their local drug dealer. They even borrowed him in Wayne's World, and I think he just played the same character in that. An absolute classic scene with him. Anything he says is just hilarious.
This doll is extremely dangerous. It has voodoo qualities.
It has voodoo properties. Probably not the best impression, but really classic scene. It's movies like this that make me want to do this review show. But forgetting all that, I absolutely adore this film. If you've never ever heard of it, I'm going to search for it on YouTube, put the link on screen here. Is it there? I found it on YouTube. If not, sorry, couldn't find it, but I'm sure you can find it in other websites. So I don't want to show too much favouritism towards this movie because I absolutely adore it. So, I don't know, I'll just give it 4 pills.
Don't get uptight with me, man. Because if you do, I'll have to give you a dose of medicine.
Whoa, hey, don't want any trouble. I'll give it 5 pills out of a possible 5.
If I medicined you, you'd think a brain tumour was a birthday present.
I think you like that. So as usual, thanks for watching and I hope to see you next time. Bye. These aren't accidents, they're throwing themselves into the road.